Ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba. Ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba, ba-da-ba. Jimmy Kimmel Live.
Well, hi there again. I'm Jimmy Kimmel. Thank you for joining me in my home on what was a much better day in the United States of America. But before we get to that, it's been a dark and heavy week. But yesterday, I have a story. Yesterday, we had the TV on in the kitchen. We were watching the protests on the news, and our 5-year-old daughter Jane walks in and asks, "Why are the people marching?" And my wife explained. She said, "Well, they're marching because they want peace." And our son Billy, who's 3, hears this and says, "I want peace." And we're all like, "Oh, that's so sweet." And then he says, "Is peace candy?" He wants Reese's Piece. You know, we did watch E.T. last week. Maybe that's where he got it. At long last, charges were filed today against 3 policemen who stood by and did nothing as their fellow officer ended George Floyd's life. Derek Chauvin has been charged now with second-degree murder and second-degree manslaughter. The other 3 were charged with aiding and abetting those charges, which is good news. A long time coming. There have been protests now in all 50 states, and that is a big deal. We can't even get all 50 states on board for daylight saving time. The whole world has been watching and weighing in. Even the Chinese government said they hope the United States will take concrete measures to eliminate all forms of racial discrimination. And when China is giving you a lecture on human rights, not a great sign. Meanwhile, our president is still getting his Bible thumped for that embarrassing photo session at St. John's Church on Monday. The White House today tried to explain why the orange chicken crossed the road, and Business Suit Barbie tried to spin it like this.
Through all of time, we've seen presidents and leaders across the world who have had leadership moments and very powerful symbols that were important for a nation to see at any given time to show a message of resilience and determination. Like Churchill, we saw him inspecting the bombing damage. It sent a powerful message of leadership to the British people.
Like Churchill. When Churchill said we shall fight them on the streets, he wasn't talking about his own people. The only thing Donald Trump has in common with Winston Churchill is they wore the same size bra. And even though she just basically said it was a photo op, they continue to insist it was not a photo op. But let's review the facts here. He walked to the church. He stood in front of the church. He never went in the church, never spoke to anyone from the church, didn't examine the damage to the church, held up a Bible upside down, didn't read from the Bible, didn't give a speech, posed for photos, and left. I don't know, that sounds like a pretty textbook definition of a photo op to me. He treated it like taking your kid to see Santa at the mall. You got the picture? Okay, let's get the hell out of here. But Trump, of course, cannot admit to any kind of a mistake. He tweeted, "People liked my walk to this historic place of worship." Who liked it? I'm not sure. People liked it. Here's when you know you have a problem. You have a problem when even the 600-year-old host of the 700 Club is not impressed.
He said, "I'm ready to send in military troops if the nation's governors don't act to quell the violence that has rocked American City." As a matter of fact, he spoke of them as being jerks. You just don't do that, Mr. President. It isn't cool.
And he knows cool. He's one of the original Muppets. Turns out, you know whose idea that walk from the White House to the church was? Ivanka's. According to the New York Times, Trump's chief of staff said it was Ivanka's idea. And as a result, Ivanka has been demoted to Eric. You know, you don't have to listen to all your kids' suggestions. If we did that at my house, the bathtub would be filled with Skittles right now. Team Trump is also trying to refute claims that protesters were attacked by police to make way for Trump's walk of shame. The police say they used pepper balls and smoke bombs, not rubber bullets and tear gas, to disperse the peaceful protests. Right, it's grenado. Trump has suggested that he might invoke an old law from 1807 to send in active duty troops to keep the peace. That apparently didn't sit well with his own Secretary of Defense, Mark Esper, who probably ended his time in the administration today.
The option to use active duty forces in a law enforcement role should only be used as a matter of last resort and only in the most urgent and dire of situations. We are not in one of those situations now. I do not support invoking the Insurrection Act.
And you're fired. I'm glad he spoke up. Why would a draft dodger be allowed to send in the military? It's like putting a vegan in charge of the barbecue. President is also said to be fuming about reports that he was taken to an underground bunker during the protests on Friday night. So today he phoned his foxy friend Brian Kilmeade, who tried very hard to give Master an out on this by pinning it on the Secret Service, but Donald the Dents didn't get the hint.
Sometimes the Secret Service even tells the president, I can't do this. So you tell me, Mr. President, they didn't say to you, you have to go downstairs. My responsibility is your welfare. They didn't limit you at all in the House?
Nope, they didn't tell me that at all. But they said it would be a good time to go down, take a look, because maybe sometime you're going to need it.
Oh, he just went down to take a look because sometime maybe he's going to need it. But go on.
I go down, I've gone down 2 or 3 times, all for inspection.
All for inspection. That's why he went down in the middle of a massive protest outside his house. He needed to inspect the place to make sure they stocked enough horsey sauce in the cupboard. And with all this going on, President has been tweeting up a storm about what a gift he is to Black Americans. This morning, he wrote, I've done more for Black Americans, in fact, than any president in U.S. history, with the possible exception of another Republican president, the late, great Abraham Lincoln, and it's not even close. Lincoln ended slavery. Trump thinks it's possible Lincoln did more. This would actually be funny if it wasn't at all. So democracy is gone, but basketball is coming back. ESPN's reporting that the NBA Board of Governors is going to vote tomorrow on a plan that would restart the season with 22 teams for 8 regular season games, a possible play-in tournament for the 8th seed, and the playoffs all taking place in Orlando, Florida at Disney World. And the champions will be whichever team doesn't get the virus. I'm happy about that. I don't know about you. I can't wait to see how long James Harden's beard is right now. Even though we have not seen the last of COVID-19, even though stores are opening and people are getting back to work, the virus is still out there. Here in California, I think we had 17,000 new cases last week, 10,000 here in LA County alone. And as we all know, the sequel is always worse than the original. But businesses are ready to go, and so as a service to them, we've created a PSA that any company who wants to use can use. Just follow the instructions, and your organization, from a PR standpoint, should be all set.
Hello there. With all the news about COVID-19, consumers are understandably concerned about public spaces. Well, as CEO of insert your company's name here, I want to personally assure you that we're doing everything we can to keep you safe, because your health is our #1 priority. Our #2 priority is selling you shit. So please, come in here, buy something, rent something, or use our services or eat one of our things. Because we've been rigorously training our employees to stop sneezing on shit we sell, rent, or cook. We've placed buckets of hand sanitizer at all our entrances. Our employees disinfect our cash registers after every transaction so we can continue to safely take your money. Now, isn't that good enough? I mean, seriously, just get off your asses and buy something. What are you so afraid of? You're not a 90-year-old with emphysema. You'll be fine. Come on. I mean, cripes, it's just a little respiratory infection. Please come back. We'll make a big show wiping off door handles. How's that? We appreciate your business. Don't be
You're welcome. We'll be right back with Regina King.
Jimmy Kimmel Live. This is ridiculous.